Looks like Hollywood just got itself another headline, and this one's wrapped in emotion, mystery, and one photo that changed everything. At the center of it all, actor Aaron Pierre, singer, actress, and cultural icon Teyana, and a single photo, softly lit, quietly posted, but powerful enough to ignite a wildfire across the internet. The photo didn't scream for attention, it whispered, but the world heard it loud and clear. And that whisper raised questions no one was ready for. When Teyana shared her beachside vacation carousel, fans were expecting serenity, glamour, and maybe a little escape. What they didn't expect was the subtle hand placement over her stomach, the sideways pose, the flowing dress, the glow that felt too familiar. Within hours, the photo had triggered everything from congratulations to confusion. Some people were celebrating a new chapter. Others were spiraling into a rabbit hole of what-ifs. Was this a pregnancy reveal? A tribute? A tease? Or a calculated message with no intention of clarity? What shocked everyone more than the photo itself was the response, or lack thereof, from Iman Shumpert, Teyana's former partner and co-parent. He didn't post a quote, an emoji, or a reaction photo. Instead, reports say he asked his inner circle just one question. Was it even real or just for show? And with that, a whole new door was opened. Because suddenly, it wasn't about the bump anymore. It was about everything. That question shattered the idea that this was a simple baby update. It called into question the timeline, the emotion, and the years of shared history that preceded it. Fans were no longer asking just what the photo meant. They were asking who it was meant for. And, more hauntingly, what was lost between them that made a moment like this feel so devastatingly distant. The photo itself, part of a sun-drenched vacation set, was deceptively simple. A series of tropical moments, smiling glances, warm colors. But in the middle of the set was that one frame. Teyana, standing slightly sideways, hands placed just above her stomach. A pose we've seen before. A pose that history tells us means something. And yet, she didn't confirm. She didn't clarify. She simply posted it and walked away, leaving fans, and one man in particular, with the task of interpreting everything she left unsaid. For Iman, it was reportedly a gut punch. A moment of confusion followed by something heavier. Not just heartbreak, but isolation. To see such an intimate image posted for the world to see before even hearing about it privately. That's not just about timing. That's about being cut off from someone's evolving world. And that's a form of grief we rarely talk about, being excluded from someone's joy, even when that joy used to include you. Sources say Iman sat with that post longer than anyone else. Not because he was obsessing, but because it didn't add up. Not in his heart, not in his understanding of their last conversations. Friends close to him say he wasn't angry, just quiet, reflective. That he kept reading the comments, rereading the caption, as if the truth would eventually emerge from between the lines. And then came the flood of fan speculation. Some insisted the bump was real, pointing to her previous pregnancies, the familiar positioning, the glow. Others swore it was a red herring, a metaphor, a tool for storytelling. One user tweeted, "Teyana's been in the game long enough to know how people would react. That wasn't an accident. That was a message. But to whom?" That's when Aaron Pierre entered the narrative. A respected actor known for his intensity on screen and his quiet presence off it. Rumors had already been swirling that he and Teyana were becoming more than friends. When eagle-eyed fans started connecting dates, locations, and backgrounds, it didn't take long before theories emerged that Aaron may have been the photographer behind the lens. Or worse, for Iman, at least, the person standing just off camera during what should have been a private milestone. Suddenly, the narrative had layers. Was this a romantic soft launch? A dig at Iman? A combination of both. Even more confusingly, was the bump meant to symbolize something beyond pregnancy? Healing? Independence? Transformation? The conversation evolved quickly. Not just about who she's dating or whether she's pregnant, but about what women are allowed to claim, publicly, emotionally, without offering explanations. And what former partners are entitled to feel when they're no longer part of the chapter that follows. Social media became a microscope. Old clips of Iman and Teyana resurfaced. Interviews where he talked about their love. Quiet moments caught on camera where he looked at her like she was his whole world. And then there was the now viral interview, just a short quote from years ago where Iman says, "No matter what, I'd always thought we'd have more kids." It's that line that broke people. That stripped away all the celebrity gossip and turned this into something human. Raw, vulnerable. It's the quote that made fans look back at the photo not as a celebration, but as a farewell. Not in words, but in imagery. A visual confirmation that one person had moved on, while the others still believed there was time left. And here's the part that few people talk about: the silent kind of pain. Not dramatic, not explosive. The kind that sits in your chest and tightens over time. The kind of heartbreak that doesn't make headlines but lingers through nights of staring at your phone, refreshing a post that doesn't change. The kind of pain you can't explain to anyone, because even you don't understand why it hurts that much. Iman's silence didn't just say a lot, it became a story. It turned a simple reaction into a mirror of heartbreak. And it reminded everyone watching that sometimes not being included in someone's future is a deeper wound than being cut out of their present. There's also the deeper fan theory, the idea that the post wasn't a pregnancy announcement at all. That it was an image of transformation, a way of saying, I've grown, I've changed, I'm not who I was. In that context, the bump isn't about motherhood. It's about personal rebirth, a new self. One that doesn't owe anyone, fans, exes, or even the media, an explanation. One viral post framed it like this: the belly in the photo may not carry a baby, it may carry peace. That sentiment hit home for many people, especially those who have watched Teyana grow, disappear, reappear, and evolve again and again throughout her career. It wouldn't be out of character for her to use an image to speak louder than a statement ever could. And yet, fans can't help but question the timing. Why now? Why like this? Why so public, yet so silent? These aren't just aesthetic questions, they're emotional ones. Because when a figure like Teyana moves, people feel it. And when someone like Iman doesn't respond, people worry. There's also the uncomfortable possibility that this entire narrative, bump, speculation, heartbreak, could be part of something bigger. A campaign, a tease, an artistic statement. We've seen it before. Visual symbolism leading to an album, a short film, a performance piece. If that turns out to be the case here, it won't erase the emotional weight, but it will shift the lens. Was this about personal healing or public storytelling? But here's the thing, maybe it can be both. Maybe Teyana's photo was a declaration, a soft goodbye, a hard reset. Maybe it was an olive branch to someone new, or a final echo to someone old. Maybe it was a pregnancy announcement, or maybe it was the announcement of a woman reclaiming her voice. Not through press releases, but through presence. For Iman, though, the picture may represent something much more painful, the end of a future he never stopped believing in. Imagine loving someone so fully that you imagine the years ahead with them. More children, more life, and then suddenly, one photo makes you realize that future no longer exists. And, what's worse, you weren't even told. You were left to figure it out at the same time as the rest of the world. That's a special kind of grief, the kind that doesn't scream. It just aches. And now, as days pass and reactions shift, the meaning behind the photo has taken on a life of its own. For some, it's become a symbol of closure. For others, a beginning. For Iman, it may remain a wound, quiet but lasting. The kind you revisit, not because you want to, but because something inside you still hopes it'll make sense. Whatever the truth is, pregnancy, poetry, or performance, this photo has already done what it came to do. It sparked reflection. It made people feel. It raised questions we can't answer. And it reminded us that even in the age of fast content, some posts leave a permanent mark. So now we ask again, was it real? Was it for show? Or was it something in between, a truth wrapped in silence? Let us know in the comments. Was Teyana stepping into new motherhood, new love, or simply a new era? Did Iman deserve to know? Should she have shared it differently, or did she owe no one anything? Hit that like if you believe peace shouldn't have to be explained. Subscribe if you're here for more than rumors, if you're here for the emotion behind the headlines. This wasn't just a bump. This was a message. And for those who needed to hear it, it spoke volumes.